Hey, welcome back to Full Count Podcast. I know a lot of you have been undergoing a lot of pressure, especially if you're in the housing market, whether you're buying or selling, because of all the fear base that's going out there, whether it be social media or what you see on TV. But in reality, I want to do my best to stick with some facts that I can present to you today, and maybe it'll ease that pressure. After all, we are the Full Count Podcast, which is a baseball term for 3 balls, 2 strikes. That's when the batter is at the box and is facing the most pressure, whether they're going to get on base or get struck out, or whatever the case may be. So let's get into it. 3 balls, 2 strikes, pressure is on. This is where we discuss real estate, property improvement, and business. Together, we'll strategize on how to win. Welcome to the Full Count. So for the longest time, we've seen inventory being at its all-time low. Everybody's been talking about that. And because of that, active inventory on the market being so low has caused home prices to go up because nobody wants to sell their house. At least that's what was happening prior to 2025, and or more so before 2022 is where it really happened. Since 2022, we've been seeing things change, and now it finally got there. It took a 3-year process to do so, but we're here now. Not saying that the market is crashing, because it's not. I mean, right now, I'll stick to California terms in terms of statistics. The average price in California as of May 2025 is about 900,000. Home prices have only gone down about almost 1% in all of California. So it's not terrible. It's not bad like everyone is trying to put it out to be. The reason why things have been like this is because interest rates have remained high for quite some time now, right? So going back to inventory. Inventory has been low, except now it's getting back to what the inventory numbers were in 2019. And I'm going to speak specifically for LA County and Orange County. At the time, sticking to like 2023, things were like 33 to 44% fewer inventory, active inventory for sale in that year, as opposed to the 3-year average of 2017 to 2019. Now we're seeing things like 13 to 25% less inventory than in that 3-year average. So we're seeing it fall, meaning inventory is starting to match what it was in the years from 2017 to 2019, because since that time frame on until about now, there was way less inventory. So now that it's getting back to normalcy, we're starting to see the market change a bit. Look, I still believe in the real estate market. I bought a house this year, and I believe in the product. I'm a real estate agent, but I still believe in the product. I believe it's one of the best ways to accumulate wealth, besides obviously, investing in the stock market, index funds, and things like that. But I bought this year. I had sold my other house last year, and I had bought that a few years prior. And it allowed me the ability to put more down payment on this house that I'm in. And I think it's the way to go. Whether you like it or not, it's the way to go. I know there's a lot of naysayers out there, but if you buy property, that's the best way to accumulate wealth, in my opinion. And if you just hold it for 5 to 7 years, I think you're in the safe zone. If you're trying to buy something and sell it right away, that's where things can get tricky, especially if you're flipping and things like that. You really need to know your numbers, but I can always be there if you need me. So with that said, I believe the current statistic is in California, or at least LA and Orange County, 34 to 37% of houses on the market have price reduced at least once this year. So we're seeing a shift. It's shifted to a buyer's market. This is good. This is great for buyers, because now they have the ability to have more options, and it's not so competitive as it used to be. So that's something to really consider if you're looking to purchase. The reason being why interest rates have been so high is a lot of it's because of the Fed. And I know it's not correlated exactly. I've explained it before, which I won't right now, just because I want to get into more specifics of the fear out there. But if the Fed is to cut, we will likely see interest rates dial back and see competition go back up. And when that happens, we'll see demand skyrocket, at least a little bit. I think the statistic I read from Stephen Thomas Reports, who's an economist in housing, said that when it happened last year, when there was a 47 days of interest rates at 6.5% or a little bit less last year, which ended in October, the demand increased about 14%. And that's huge, guys, because when interest rates fall, it allows more people to buy homes. And I think I've also read that when an interest rate for mortgages falls 1%, there's 5 million more people in the nation that have the ability to purchase a home. So that means more competition. So I'm going to pull up some data right now. If you're listening, I'm just pulling up a chart that is from the California Association of Realtors, who provided some data for May of 2025, showing that in Los Angeles County, we've seen prices go up 2.9% year to year, although month to month from the month prior, we saw prices go down 1.7%. In Orange County, year to year for May 2025, prices have gone down 0.2%, and month to month have gone up 0.1%. Now, this is based on specific county. I'm going to pull up another chart from California Association of Realtors showing how home purchase sentiment has reached a 6-month high in May of 2025, which is a little bit insane to me because I had expected home price or home purchase sentiment would go down, but it actually went up at a 6-month high. It's at about 26%, where a few months prior was 22%. And this is a little bit odd to me as well because sellers, it's at 61% of May of 2025, a good time to sell, when a few months before that it was 58%. So it seems like both sellers and buyers are kind of in the same boat. They feel somewhat confident with the market. I think if you have a good realtor to kind of give you the expectation of where the value of a home is, if everyone's kind of on board, things will continue to go relatively smoothly. So no one knows where home prices will be. No one has a crystal ball. However, there's a Fannie Mae Pulsenomics survey that goes out, and they ask 100 analysts or even a little bit more in terms of where they think the market's going to be next year in the next 5 years. And you'd be surprised, the price is actually about 2.9% where they think home prices will be from year to year growth in the next year by 2026. So 2.9% versus it being negative. And I think that's pretty damn good because we've seen other, predictions maybe to be lower or negative, especially things like REDFIN, which we'll get into in a little bit, trying to put some fear out there. But in the next 5 years, they believe home prices will go up about 19%. And that's a cumulative expectations for the next 5 years. So 19%. So if you're looking at a $900,000 home in the next 5 years, for like California, they're expecting probably it'll be worth about $1,071,000 in 5 years from now. Granted, that may not happen, but it's good to know that about 100 housing analysts believe in this, and they're bullish. I mean, I'm bullish on it. I think if you stay in a house 5 to 7 years, you should be fine, as I had said before. And I'll get into the story of what I've done to try to improve my house since I bought it. But I want to get into the fear tactic of REDFIN, which I'll share my screen now for you. So the headline is this: REDFIN believes there's nearly 500,000 more sellers than buyers, the most on record, that will cause home prices to fall. That's a fear tactic, right? They immediately put that headline out there and make people believe that home prices are going to fall because there's so many more sellers. Although they are correct that there is more sellers now than in the last 5 years, that is true. Inventory has gone up. But how the heck do you calculate how many buyers are out there? There's no real answer. And I'll show you in a minute what they mean by that, because they don't have an answer. But their statistic on counting the amount of sellers out there is incorrect, at least in my opinion. And other housing analysts that I've listened to and watched, they've also pointed this out as well. When I did the math, they were correct. So get this, at this graph, they're saying sellers, this is for May, mind you, 1.9 million. That's 1,943,669 sellers on the market, and they're saying there's only 1,453,628 buyers on the market. So there's a margin of 500,000. So they're trying to put some fear out there that way more sellers are out there than buyers. Now, here's the problem with that, because if you use the Fred St. Louis statistic, that is probably the best one you can look at. They have a different measurement. Not a different measurement, but a different stat. And I think they do way more correct than what REDFIN did here. I think they're really, I think they're actually trying to put fear in everyone so they get more clicks. According to Fred, existing homes on the market right now of housing inventory in the whole United States, instead of it saying 1.9, they're saying it's 1.540. So 1.540 versus 1.9. Now get this, that statistic is already kind of deceiving because that's saying all the homes on the market, but the ones that are active is a different number, because 1.54 is essentially all the homes on the market, even the ones that are active under contract, so in escrow. So when you remove those and you just look at the homes that are active and are not in escrow, it's a different number, and that number comes out to 1,082,520. So that's a big difference from 1.9. What was it? 1.943 versus 1,082,000. That alone tells you that's a more particular and precise number of active sellers out there. So that already kind of destroys their argument, number one. And then number two, we'll see how they count, how they got to the number of buyers out there, because there's no real measurement. And I'll show you right now. So they even pointed out, as I'm highlighting here, because there's not a similar metric measuring how many buyers are actively on the market, we developed one. So they developed one from scratch. We don't know where their algorithm or what their equation came out to. You can do foot traffic and use different organizations to give you an idea, but there's no real answer. So I think this is a bunch of BS, and I think it's there to put fear in you. And you definitely need to make the best decision for yourself and come down to a conclusion of whether it's a good time for you to buy or not. Going back to what I had said earlier, I had bought earlier this year, very happy with my purchase. I negotiated the price. I got the ideal home that I've always wanted. At least my wife really likes it too. It's a mid-century modern. In the backyard, it was kind of a drab, or in the backyard, it wasn't that nice. And we added some landscaping, which I've seen, statistically speaking, if you have good landscaping, at least nowadays, if it makes the house look better, it'll definitely build your equity, especially when you go sell it. And buyers are looking for that. They want everything turnkey, including the exterior. So what we did, we added all these privets along the back fence of our property, and we added irrigation to it, and now it's starting to grow. And the point of that is because when you're in the backyard, it looks very plain and deserty, which we don't really like. We wanted to add some more greenery, and that is going to help us when it comes to like that curb appeal, I guess you could say, when people come through the property, when we come down to selling it and moving on to a better property. At least that's the plan. And we can make it really cool with the lights hanging over. It'll be really sweet. Maybe I'll do a podcast out there, but I think that's key. You really need to find a way to improve the property that you're in, because at a point later on, you'll want to sell it. So you want to hit the main points, like have a nice garage door, have it nice painted outside. We did a video about this last time with Nick, how I spoke about you want to color the door red or red or blue. It all depends on the style of the home, obviously. But another thing we did too was the 2-car garage was utilized. There was like partially storage, and then partially it was utilized as a room. And we didn't like that. We wanted a 2-car garage. I like my garage. I like to be in my garage and hang out there. And statistically speaking, when you have a 2-car garage utilized for the vehicles or whatever storage, you will get a better price than leaving it as a guest house or a bedroom. I know a lot of people want to use the rent income, but when it comes to selling, people want their garage overall. Trust me. So those little points you want to look into when you're buying. Talk to your realtor. If not, hire me, and I can give you some pointers of what to do, what to look out for when you're buying property, and what you can do to improve it so you can sell it and make more money.